Other destination.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. We've given our State of the Divisions series a break this week, and we're going to complete another one of our drafts, which I think this is the third one we've done, and we're going to be doing the all-time greatest sports comebacks draft. Joining us, we've got regulars and co-hosts. That's what we should call it. Should call it out for it. So we've got Byron, welcome. Joe, and Docker's returning. It's been a while, Docker's. A couple of months since you were on last.
Yeah, it's been a while, mate. Yeah, glad to be back.
Excellent, good stuff. Appreciate you coming on today. I know you played today for the Yorkshire Rams. Tough loss, but appreciate you coming on after, butting heads with some big blokes all day.
Yep, it's what we do, mate. It's what we do. We'll go again next week.
How else would you want to spend Father's Day?
Not in 23 degrees anyway as well.
It's been a disgustingly humid day as well, hasn't it? It's been so bad. Just that horrible.
My pads were not coming off. Yeah, my pads were not coming off today.
Good stuff. Good. Right, So, quick introduce it. So, all-time greatest sports comebacks. This is inspired by, so I won't tease anything because it might be a potential pick, but this was inspired or I got the idea because of a particular comeback that happened recently. Might get drafted. Let's see. But yeah, I thought it was a great subject for a draft. We're going to do a usual format. So we've got the four of us, 5 picks each in a snake draft. The order is I'm up first, then Joe, then Dockers, then Byron, and it snakes back round. So first up, before we do it, we'll get into it because I appreciate we're time sensitive tonight. Actually, I need to tell everyone where we are. Thanks to the guys at Let's Talk Sports for putting us on their YouTube and their Facebook channel because we're live on there now. So we might get some live feedback. We had a show last week with a lot of live feedback. So appreciate you, Dan, as always, setting that up. So I suppose we're going to vote, as we always do, for the winner. What's going to kind of get your attention? Joe, let's start with you. What's somebody's board that you're going to vote for? What are the things on there that you'd like to see? Not specifics, but you know what.
Yeah, so I think a bit of a mixture because when I was doing the research, so you've got different types of comebacks. You've obviously got the within game one, so the team's losing heavily and they managed to bring it back. You've also got the ones like series, so there might be a few games down, and then the actual sportsmen themselves who have gone through troubled times or other situations and have come back from that. So I think a mixture, and also it'll be good to see like not the obvious ones, but looking at the research, there's some obvious ones. So I'm curious to see if anyone brings out ones which I not even thought about, and I think that could bring to light. And yeah, hopefully not something like a Carlisle comeback, being 3-0 down at a Tuesday night, but something a bit more exciting than that.
So this is what I was gonna venture a point about. So I'm gonna be quite conscious. I want to win. I've not won one of these yet. So I'm going to be quite conscious of the audience because I think there's a couple on my list that, while good and probably deserve to be in there, I'm probably not going to take because the audience will not like them. Or some members of our panel, that's what I should say, will not like them and therefore not vote for them. Cool. Dockers, what would you want to see then? What do you think is going to get your vote?
I think good balance, just to, one of them's out of the hat, different, and then a good range of different comebacks to some degree. And yeah, not those sort of ones that everybody sort of expects to see. Whilst they will be there, I expect them to come out, some different balance in there.
Cool. Byron finishes off then. What are you going to want to see? Apart from a Carlisle comeback on a Tuesday night.
I haven't got any Carlisle comebacks on a Tuesday night listed. But what I want is... ultimately, the comeback has to matter for something. Calling out Carlisle on Tuesday night, they're like, if this gets picked, I'm probably not going to be voting for you, no offense, but like Newcastle coming back and 4-0 down against Arsenal to draw 4-all, it's a great comeback in itself, but so what? Like, if that game finished 2-all, does it really matter whether it was 4-0 to 4-all or 2-1 to 2-all? Newcastle got a point at the Emirates. I believe it was at the Emirates.
That was at home as well.
It was at home. Well, either way, almost less impressive then. But yeah, like, so what, ultimately? I want something a comeback that mattered. I want to see a bit of variety. I have a long list and a very tight short list. I'm hoping I don't have to go onto my long list too much. I'm very happy with my short list. But yeah, ultimately things that mattered and a bit of variety.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm similar. I'm all for the stories. So the tough situations or comebacks from bad situations, all that kind of stuff. A bit of adversity, coming back to kind of then achieving something. That's what I'm kind of after. Right, shall we start? Right, 4 people, 5 rounds, snake draft. I'm number 1, so I will kick us off. So me, Joe, Dockers, Byron, and then back around. I will share the screen after I've made my pick, Byron. Actually, I'll share the screen if you can just keep a track of the board for us, and then you've got the link, guys, to keep track of it. So the first overall pick in the all-time greatest sports comeback draft, good teams and great teams cover, is going to be an NFL one. Nature of the show, and maybe it's not an in-game one. It is just a comeback from a player, and it's going to be Alex Smith being able to come back and get back on the field after his horrific leg break and the rest. So Smith, the number 1 overall pick from 2005 to Joe's San Francisco 49ers, solid if unspectacular quarterback there. Loses his job to Kaepernick, gets traded to the Chiefs in 2013. The Chiefs tend to get a bit more out of him. That's kind of the start of that Chiefs run the last couple of years of Alex Smith in Kansas. Has to give up the reins to Patrick Mahomes. No shame in that, right? No shame in that at all. Gets traded to the Washington Commanders. Don't think they were then. And starts off 2018 pretty well. Takes the Commanders to a 6-3 record before, in Week 11 against the Houston Texans, he gets sacked by J.J. Watt and a second Texans player, I think it's Kareem Jackson, and suffers just an absolutely horrific leg break, spiral and compound fracture to his tibia and fibula, which is just awful. And I'm sure you've seen it, or you might remember it. It was just an awful one. 33 years to the day when Joe Theismann did a similar thing, and it caused him to forced him to retire, which is interesting. But so not only is this comeback so impressive because it's come back from a leg break, it's how serious the nature of the leg break was. Alex Smith was fighting for his life at a point during this because of the complications as a result of the leg break. This is a quote from his wife. So I don't know if you've seen the ESPN documentary. It's well worth a watch about kind of the injury and Smith's recovery through it. But this is what Alex Smith's wife then, she said, the doctors told her after the initial surgery. Our first priority is we're going to try and save his life. Then we're going to do our best to save his leg. And anything beyond that is a miracle. Just quite frankly, just a scary situation. He had developed what is just a flesh-eating disorder, bacterial infection that just ate away at the soft tissue in his leg. He went through 17 surgeries, skin grafts. He had to have muscle transfer from his left quad into his right leg. A miracle that he kept his leg and was even able to walk again. There was a point where the doctors, the medical personnel, were considering amputating his right leg, the broken leg or the right leg above the knee. Unbelievable that less than 2 years later, Alex Smith gets back on the field for the Washington football team, I think it was at the time, after Kyle Allen goes down with injury, comes back into a game and plays. He then ends up being the starter again later in the season. Think how scary this might have been for Alex Smith. The game he gets chucked into in Week 5 is against the LA Rams. I wouldn't want to be going up against Aaron Donald coming back from that injury. Horrific. Alex Smith then leads the Washington football team at the time into the playoffs, winning the NFC East. Sadly, can't play in the playoff game due to injury. But just the fact that Alex Smith manages to get back on the field, I think that in itself is the all-time greatest sports comeback. Reaction, thoughts, what do you think, chaps? Alex Smith going number 1.
Tough to argue with. Incredible mental strength, physical capability, the want to do it, because like you say, he wasn't a rookie. He was, towards the end of his career anyway. It made, I know these players don't play for money, but he made plenty of money. He was set for life. to have the want to do it, to have the will to do it. I mean, you look at the state of his leg even now. You can tell he's had a few surgeries, and 17 is. I mean, there must be some bleak days in the Smith household in the build-up to that. Incredible story, incredible man. I don't know if it would have been my 1-1, but I can't argue with it being there.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's just what a comeback, what a pure determination to get off that hospital bed and come back and perform at such a high level, because, there's not many people do that to some degree, and, people will give a lot to play that, but just to come back in, what must be horrendous circumstances, such dark times, and then, get back to an elite level is just, a miracle to some degree.
Yeah, it was one that took me a while because I had another one ready, which I hope I'm going to get on the way back around. I don't think I will, but that was going to be. But then I completely forgot about Alex Smith, which I shouldn't have done. Apologies, Alex Smith. But then actually that felt the right one. Joe, thoughts?
Yeah, bit of reach number 1, but can't argue. It wasn't going to be. Yeah, I was surprised. I can see why he went for it. It is a great comeback, but I just think across the sporting atmosphere, the whole sport spectrum, to be the best comeback might be a bit of a reach from my point of view.
Interesting. Okay, fair enough.
Good thing is we get to see what Joe's 101 is very soon.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Joe, you're up.
Fresh enough after saying that. All right.
Yeah, so this would be your 1-1, right? Yeah.
I had two athletes, both in the same sport, and I was trying to work out who I wanted to go number 1, and I think I've just got to go with probably the greatest boxer what's ever lived, possibly the greatest athlete what's ever lived, and my greatest comeback is Muhammad Ali after being banned from boxing for 4 or 5 years during his height due to refusal to fight in the Vietnam War, and also the racial aspect within America at the time. What he's saying at the time. So anyone can, people break their legs and come back, but someone actually got stopped from performing their sport at probably the height of their career when they were 24 and had to sit out for 4 years, and then to come back from all of that. And he did lose his first fight, his main fight, when he came back to Joe Frazier. But again, another great comeback. He pulled his bootstraps though, and he beat Joe Frazier, and then on a rematch, and then he fought in the Rumble in the Jungle against Foreman to win the world title after everything was going on. And it wasn't just, you're banned, and he was hated by a lot of the public and a lot of the naysayers. So it's the comeback from that mental aspect more than the physical. So that's why I'm choosing Muhammad Ali.
Fair enough, Joe. Yeah, my other one was a boxing one. Wasn't Muhammad Ali. It was on my list, but
I think that might be the one I was choosing between.
So, yeah.
And I felt like that feels like a bit more important what happened with Muhammad Ali. Like the situation could, in a whole thing too, compared to the other boxer of his own doing. But wait and see.
Excellent, Joe. Yeah, the greatest of all time. Byron Docker's reaction to Muhammad Ali, going number 2 in our all-time greatest sports comebacks.
It was certainly on the list. I can't argue with that. I think it's just an amazing story, the situation and the circumstances he faced, and that to go back and win a world title effectively, and against a guy that was just an animal effectively. So, yeah, what an absolute comeback.
And when he beat Foreman was 40-0 at that point, and had beat a lot of the
I don't think anybody gave him a chance, did they really?
Yeah. So,
Yeah, absolute machine. George Foreman was, for Ali then to go and beat him. Such a famous fight in its own right. Byron, Muhammad Ali?
Yeah, how do you argue with it? It's Muhammad Ali. He's coming back, and like Joe touched on, like the circumstances of why he had to come back, not so much how he came back, but he shouldn't have really been not boxing that entire time anyway. So yeah, huge respect for Muhammad Ali. Like I said, greatest of all time. Can't argue with it. Yeah.
Cool, good stuff. Pretty solid pair. Everyone's quite happy with that pick, Joe. Well done.
Good pick, Joe.
Right.
It's not NFL quarterback breaking his leg. But...
Yeah.
Cool. Right. Dockers, number 3, third overall pick. I think I know what this is going to be, but
you think you know what it's going to be? I'm going completely off piste. It was something I came across when doing my research, which just I'm just completely inspired by his story, effectively. So I'm going for Alexandra Alexanardi. So for his background, he was an Italian professional racing driver. He was performing and doing some F1 driving at the time. Was involved in a significant major crash back in 2001 at the American Memorial. At that time, he needed to have both his legs amputated. So obviously similar to Alex Smith in complete mess, difficult to come back. How are you feeling at that point? You know, being a racing driver, effectively his potential living's gone from that perspective. Within 2 years, he was back in a racing car. So, you know, back in European Touring Car Championships, which just impressive to start with, to be honest, to come back in 2 years. He became a paracyclist and he went on to win numerous world titles from that perspective. So just to deal with that pure trauma, that pure issue of you losing your legs, but also then to go compete on such a high level from a, you know, paracycling perspective and win, you know, numerous world titles and Paralympic medals was just, I think he won 4 or 5 Paralympic medals, which just, dumbfounds me how you can do that, to be honest. I'd have just probably packed in at that point. But yeah, he inspired me certainly when I was reading his story last night.
Wow. Yeah. One, yeah, you're right. That's not what I thought you were going to pick off this. But yeah, Alexander. Not one I'd come across. Byron, Joe, either of you two come across that in your research or know much about him?
Incredible story. Never heard of the guy in my life. Sorry.
No, yeah.
I had to Google his name there to be like typing it in the Google sheet. Had a quick read and obviously listening to you. That is, it's inspirational.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, unbelievable story.
Similar to Byron, to be honest. But are you a bit worried, Paul, that, you know, we've got someone who actually lost both their legs and came back and got picked number 3.
Was that true?
Yeah.
Alex Smith competes in the Paralympics NFL.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. Okay. So that's going to be a tough one to top, I think. Byron, we'll move on to you. You've got the first of your 2 picks. So round out round 1 for us.
Okay, so 2 words. I'm back. Michael Jordan.
Nice.
Wins a 3-peat with Chicago, retires from basketball, plays baseball. Midway through the 95 season, decides he doesn't want to be a replacement player in the MLB. He wants to be a basketball player again. And the world's most famous fax comes out. 2 words, I'm back. Jordan comes back and plays well in the 95 season. The Bulls make the playoffs and get bounced, I think, in the second round or the conference finals. The next 3 years, they win the 3-peat again, ending with the Last Dance documentary. Just the greatest to do it, to come back and win a 3-peat is, to me, this is the 101. I don't know. I guess it's not the physical recovery of some others, but in terms of a sporting comeback, I don't know how you pick a better one.
Yeah, Michael Jordan coming back with the Bulls to win, so even more NBA championships, Cool, good stuff. What do we think of MJ, Dockers, Joe? Reaction, Michael Jordan?
Just his story itself on Netflix, if you've not watched it, it's 10 episodes of just pure beautiful, sports documentary. So, no shocks, he's up there. I think it was hard fought to go with, that pure sporting ability, which Jordan clearly had against that, coming back from sacrifice to some degree. But what a player, what a guy. And definitely deserves to be in the list.
It's interesting what pushed him back, because he started off pretty well. Baseball, he was playing AAA, wasn't he? I think he was playing AAA or AA? AAA. And he started off pretty well, and then all the pitches worked out pretty quickly that he couldn't hit a curveball or a slower ball.
and he kept trying to do slam dunks, which didn't really work in there.
But yeah, he couldn't hit kind of the breaking ball, so they found him out, and then all of a sudden that was it really for him. But yeah, it's just one last. Probably that's another draft for us to do. Maybe all-time great sports documentaries. You mentioned the Last Dance. That's probably one to add to the list. Cool. Yeah, Joe, what do you think, Michael Jordan? Before we
I think it's great. Yeah, he was definitely up there for me. I was seeing if he could, sneak second round. But it was that decision of, do you go for a comeback, which is not their fault for that injury or circumstances, or you do it where they chose to leave but then came back and was the best. And obviously at this time with the Toon squad as well, that was a great comeback story which I documented. So that's a double to get the last second.
One's done.
Yeah. That could have made it, the Toon squad versus
I was going MJ back to back, but now it feels like you've ruined it.
Yeah.
So, Byron, before you pick the first pick of the second round, just run over round one. So I picked with the first overall pick, Alex Smith's NFL comeback to get back on the field, but on the winning division and make the playoffs. Joe took Muhammad Ali coming back after, I suppose draft dodging was the term, wasn't it, for him for the Vietnam War. Wasn't allowed to fight, came back, world heavyweight champion, greatest of all time. Alex Zanardi was third overall pick from Dockers, double amputee motor racing driver. That's pretty good. And then Michael Jordan to finish off round one, coming back from baseball to the Chicago Bulls and winning 3 NBA championships. Not bad. Byron, then round two, what's going to be the 5th overall pick?
So in the pre-show notes, it was sporting career comebacks. So with that in mind, I have gone to the 9th of December 1989. Paul might have an idea what I'm about to pick. I don't know if anyone else does. So banner reads, 3 years of excuses and still crap. Ta-ra, Fergie. Man United versus Crystal Palace. Man United lost at home to Crystal Palace in the 89-90 season, and Man United fans were fed up. In the build to Christmas, it got worse and worse. And thankfully for Fergie, they won the FA Cup that year. Mark Robbins won a third-round tie at, I believe, Nottingham Forest. Paul, probably correct me if I'm wrong, though.
No, you're right. Spot on at Forest, yeah.
And from there, the greatest English football manager and English football dynasty was built. I'm sure I don't need to go over every detail of the Man United reign, the treble winners.
Go for it.
The most Premier League titles, the class of 92, etc., etc. This was the one I was a little bit suspicious of.
Oh. It's gone on mute, Byron. We're 28 episodes in.
Yeah, so this was maybe my Run DMC moment of, is this a sporting career? I think it is, because he's in the sporting realm. He's a sports manager.
Oh no, Byron's gone. I think we should. So I suppose Byron's question at the minute was around whether we should allow it. First of all, do we allow it? I think we allow it.
Yeah, I think he will allow it. I think you allow it from that perspective. Yeah, it's
I did see on a lot. Yeah, I did see on a lot of lists.
On it, but yeah,
I did see on a lot of lists, and I was at that question of, is it a comeback? But I think, career-wise, like where he was and where it's the comeback he did, make the greatest team.
It'll come out with watch when we pick winner.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think so. Byron, has potentially just got one vote from me there, and then also will definitely not get Dockers' vote as a Liverpool fan. So I don't know. I feel like you didn't know, Dockers, that you follow Liverpool. So.
Yeah, but I'm probably going to follow it up with something else, so it'll even out in the long run.
So, Byron, we were just discussing there when you dropped off that that we will absolutely allow kind of Fergie's turnaround at Man United. Yeah, that's fine. And that you've probably, with your mind, probably got one vote from me, naturally, as a result. But also, something that you probably didn't know is that Dockers follows Liverpool. So you're probably not going to get his pick, his vote at the end.
I trust Dockers to be a wise, impartial man.
Very rounded, me. Yeah, very rounded, don't doubt it.
I can't stand Liverpool. I can't stand Man United. So... but I do have respect for what Alex Ferguson did, as begrudging as it is. It's very begrudging. But man, what a career. And, if Man United had been a bit... I mean, truthfully, if that was 2023, Alex Ferguson wouldn't have been there then. He'd have been sacked already. So, the board kept faith with him, kept patience with him. And, yeah, like I said, very begrudging, but I would have happily had either of those, Michael Jordan or Alex Ferguson, in the first round. So to get them both, I'm very happy with.
Nice. Yeah. Sir Alex Ferguson, let's address him by his full name. Sir Alex Ferguson as the first pick of the second round from Byron. Good stuff. Know your audience. I like it. Right. Dockers. After that, I've got a funny feeling I know what might be coming then.
I think you know what's coming, Paul. I'm going to take you back to 25th of May, 2005.
For fuck's sake.
It has to come in there. So it was certainly a miracle in Istanbul, to be honest. So let's take you back to the Champions League, effectively. Liverpool against AC Milan. Liverpool very, very not favoured in this game, to be honest, facing a Milan team which was just ridiculous, to be honest. I didn't even remember how good it was, to be honest. So you got Cafu, Japstam, Nesta, Maldini, Pirlo, Gattuso, Seedorf, Kaká, Shevchenko, and then Crespo. We're down 1-0 in first minute to a Maldini goal, 3-0 down at half-time, and I'd effectively turned it over for somewhat on Channel 4. I think it were location. So I was
turned the Champions League final off to watch location.
I was struggling at that point. And then I came back, but I was struggling certainly for the 15 minutes of half time. And then just a Steven Gerrard probably inspired comeback that I've never seen in my entire life, to be honest. So 3 goals in 6 minutes. The game wasn't done at that point, and whilst we got back to 3-3, I still don't know to this day how Jerzy Dudek saved from Shevchenko from a yard out effectively and flipped it over bar.
Yeah.
Managed to struggle. I think Carragher was playing on one leg later on, certainly, and then overturned him on penalties, which, again, Jerzy saving Shevchenko has to be one of the greatest comebacks of all time in such a high-profile game and such a difficult circumstances, to be honest. So
yeah, Dudek saving them penalties all of 5 yards off his fucking line. Yeah,
it's fine as long as he saved them, pal. As long as he saved them. But yeah, outstanding comeback and outstanding game. So it will forever be ingrained in my memories as an incredible comeback.
Yeah, it'd have gone out, obviously, for obvious reasons, wouldn't have taken it at any point. But I do fully understand that it is absolutely a great comeback. I feel if they'd have won the game 4-3 on penalty, in normal time or extra time, that makes it a little bit better. What you're essentially telling me is they drew. I'll take my biased opinion on this subject out. I'll let Joe and Byron have their views on the 2005 Champions League final, Liverpool coming back from 3-0 down to win their 5th European Cup.
So it was going to be my pick if Dockers didn't choose
you as
it.
well, Joe.
I think it's just when you look at the teams, like, again, same as Dockers, I was like,
Harry Kewell was leading that Liverpool team.
8 or 9 of 18-man players could be like, if you've made a 24-man squad of the noughties, they could have 8 or 9 players in there. And when you look at Liverpool, like Traore was left back, Finnan was right back, then Milan Barros up top with Kewell. And I just think of that, they had Dudek who was shipped out afterwards. I know they had another treble winner, Scott Carson, on the bench, who we managed to keep out. But the fact that they managed to come down from 3-0 against arguably one of the best teams, probably of the noughties, when you actually just look at the squad itself, it was crazy. And within that short period of notice, and doing 3 goals in 7 minutes and managed to hang on. It was that's where the argument is it the best comeback in any Champions League final, which I'm sure the other one will be choosed.
Well, we'll find out, Joe.
Yeah, very soon. So to me it is, but it's certainly a close one. So I definitely would have chosen it next, just because the magnitude and the opponent, and everyone had written Liverpool off at that point. Because I don't even think they had a great Premier League year that year as well. So
no,
not even like
5th in there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's not like two great teams against each other and one comes back. There was an outstanding team and an average team, and the average team managed to pull the comebacks. I think that's what makes it a bit more special.
Yeah, fair.
When I say I'm begrudgingly select Alex Ferguson, I wouldn't have selected this game if we went 10 rounds. One of my least favourite nights of football I've ever seen. Cheating Steven Gerrard diving for penalties. Cheating Jersey Dudek 8 yards off his line. The most undeserved Champions League victory I've ever seen. I mean, happy for you, Dockers. You know, sure was a great night when you flick between location in Istanbul. But I couldn't pick it with good conscience because it was a cheated Champions League final. I mean, you still get the medal, you still get the trophy, but I couldn't pick it as the best comeback when it's done in such awful circumstance.
Fair enough, right? Yeah, I think we'll leave Liverpool and Istanbul right there. Joe, over to you. So, you're going to pick the 7th pick, so the third pick of the second round. And you went Muhammad Ali in the first round. Who's next up for you?
So I think it's in between two. And I wanted like the in-game one. So obviously the Liverpool AC Milan just got chosen. So I was thinking of a Champions League final, but I'm going to choose because we're an NFL podcast as well. I'm again begrudgingly pick this one because I remember watching this and being devastated. But it's probably the Patriots versus Atlanta Super Bowl final, 28-3 in the third quarter. Falcons are running wild. Obviously, Kyle Shanahan does the end, and he gets them in the lead, and then they come crawling back. And the fact the Patriots managed to come back, 25 unanswered point, and managed to again, you can claim it's another draw, but they won it in overtime. But it's a great comeback in Super Bowl history, and possibly one of the best in any sport, just because the magnitude to do it at that stage and. Because at that point, I think I was watching a review, Paul, and Leeds, it just felt like it was over at that point, that the Falcons were just going to run away with it. The Patriots were playing terrible, and then it started coming back, and you're like, oh, that's, they can have a touchdown here. That's cute. Just get another 7 points, make it 23. And then it kept coming closer and closer and closer. And then it was like, yeah, Patriots are going to win this. And like I said, went home very unhappy because, no one really wants the Patriots to win, similar to like Man U and Liverpool. But you've got to give it up to them. I think, having been quite a few years away from it, I need to appreciate the actual comeback and the stage that they did it on.
Yeah, it's been a little while. And we did, so Joe, we did watch it together. We also watched it with Dockers. I don't know if you remember. Okay. So and so what I remember about that night is we watched, I think it was your American football team were hosting in a bar at Dockers. And there's one of, I don't know if he still plays, but a Patriots fan who plays for the team. Who was just acting like a fucking baby when they were getting hammered. It was unbelievable. Because obviously, I guess he's as we found out, he's a bit of a mouthy guy. So
I'm bringing him on right now.
Yes. Everyone were giving it to him because they were getting hammered. But then, obviously, as the comeback came, he was just so bad, so obnoxious, just such a dick.
You'll never forget that for that.
Yeah, and that's what I remember most from
remember
that.
The table going up in air when they were just table over. It was horrendous. Yeah. And then they came back and thought, oh no, we just don't need this right now.
Yeah. So I'll sound off first if that's all right, Joe, on this one. Absolutely. It is a great comeback. Byron's put on the board Patriots 28-3. However, that's not quite how everyone remembers it. Everyone remembers it as Falcons 28-3, and arguably this would be 1-1 if we were doing the biggest all-time greatest choke jobs. And that's how I remember that. Obviously, it's a great comeback. There's moments in that. Edelman's catch, for example, is just unbelievable. That moment where he just somehow manages to dive back and stop it before the ball hits the turf. But I always see this as an Atlanta Falcons choke job as opposed to a Patriots great comeback, which is just my view on it because of how the Falcons approached it. When if they just ran the fucking ball, they'd have won the game. But yeah.
But can you say that like every single comeback there's somebody usually chose?
Which is true.
Yeah, somebody's got to fall apart, aren't they? Especially if you're coming down from so far. I do think there's elements of that game that Patriots probably didn't win it. The Falcons just fell apart big time to some degree and just got in a position that they just couldn't handle to some degree. I get it's there. I get it's completely a great comeback. Just didn't really like it, but I didn't like the Alex Ferguson pick, and I'm bound to not like this pick.
You're just going to vote for yourself.
You can't vote for yourself, Docker. So
but I wonder if it's the Patriots situation. Like, if the Patriots hadn't won it so many times, that
if it was the other way around.
Yeah, if it was the other way around, it'd be the Falcons
else,
staying back. Or if it was like a team who everyone wanted to win.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, yes, go on, Falcons, you're actually going to beat the Patriots dynasty. You're actually going to do this. And it's because, I think that's probably why.
This it absolutely should have been picked. Yeah, I'm not saying it shouldn't have been picked. It absolutely should have been picked. But maybe you could have got it on the way back round, Joe.
I have no qualms with it. I think it could well have been a first rounder in that range. I would have had it ahead of Istanbul, ahead of Zanardi. Zanardi is my ignorance, so I will say so. Just for the ultimate reward. As much as the Falcons blew it, I don't think there was any there wasn't really fluky plays. Edelman's catch, obviously, but it's not like it was a, undeserved comeback. Where there was one or two were like a pick six that shouldn't have happened, a punt return that was like, whoa, what's going on? It was just a well-earned win. And obviously the Falcons did blow it, but I think it's a great comeback and should be regarded as such.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like the Vikings versus, was it the Saints? Where they just completely messed up for the other team.
The Minneapolis Miracle.
Yeah. Well, that feels like more like it was like a fluky play where if you did that
one player,
100 times, it might happen once. But
no, fair, Joe. All right, cool. Super Bowl, Patriots, Super Bowl. Byron, do you want someone to help me out? Super Bowl, whatever it was. 51. Yeah.
It's one of the few things I had on the short list was Patriots, Falcons. So
cool. Right.
Yeah, I hadn't deleted it.
You had it deleted. Fair enough. Back to me then. So I'm going to take what I was initially going to take as the number one overall pick. I'm surprised it's come round to me, to be fair, because this is commonly so. There are a couple of things in sports, particularly individual sports, that I sort of see, and I think a lot of people do, but I sort of see as the pinnacle of individual sport. Two things: Olympic 100-meter champion, typically the men's one, fastest guy on the planet, right? And the second one, heavyweight champion of the world, boxing heavyweight champion of the world, as like your traditional marquee, big, the big dogs, world-renowned sportsman. And for somebody to go and win the world heavyweight championship like this man did is absolutely incredible. And fully, I thought you really could have been number one overall. I'm going to pick George Foreman winning the World Heavyweight Championship, aged 45 years old, as my second pick. And you look at the career of George Foreman. So we've talked a little bit about it already with Joe's pick about Muhammad Ali because of the Rumble in the Jungle. Foreman won the World Heavyweight title, beating Joe Frazier. Age 24, he knocked out Joe Frazier in 2 rounds, absolutely hammered him, won the WBA, WBC and the ring heavyweight titles, and then lost those, Rumble in the Jungle in Zaire, to Muhammad Ali. Foreman didn't go on too much longer after that. He retired after his second loss. He was 28 when he retired. He lost to Jimmy Young and retired. He went into that fight just a little bit. George Foreman, he fought that fight in Puerto Rico, turned up the day before, didn't bother trying to acclimatize to Puerto Rico and just struggled through. He decided to call it a day there. He stayed retired for 10 years, came out of retirement at age 38. Now, a few different reasons as to maybe why, money being an issue, some may say. George Foreman then went and won 23 straight fights, aged 38, before he got a crack at the World Heavyweight title. 23 straight fights to get to 69-2. That took him 4 year. He lost to Evander Holyfield, got back on the horse again, had a second world title fight against Tommy Robinson. Jesus. Tommy Morrison.
I would like to see that, though.
That's
Foreman versus Tommy Robinson.
Yeah, that would be good. lost to Tommy Morrison, and then he finally gets a third crack at the World Heavyweight Championship against Michael Moorer in 1994 in Las Vegas. He wins, knocks him out in the 10th round, and becomes the WBA and IBF World Heavyweight Champion, aged 45 years old, 299 days, almost 46. Almost 46 when he wins the World Heavyweight Championship. Boxing politics means he ends up being stripped to one. He defends one, gets stripped to one before he finally retires, aged 48 with the fifth loss of his career. Only retired in 1997. And now, obviously, he's made an absolute fortune with grills, but that's not the comeback. So, George Foreman, winning the World Heavyweight title, aged 45. What do you think of that putting to end the second round?
I think he's probably really well on it, and I think well worth a selection. He was on my long list, not my short list, but incredible career, incredible comeback. To win a world title at 45 is insanity. Even if I don't think it was the toughest belt to win at the time, but he's 45. I don't give two hoots what the difficulty rating was. Just an incredible achievement, incredible boxer. Great comeback.
He almost has as many fights after he initially retires. So in 38 to 47, where it was, he has as many fights as he did
when he was younger.
His career, and that's the time in boxing where they were fighting once a month or every couple of months. Not like now, where the top guys fight twice a year if you're lucky. So just an incredible achievement. Any other reaction to George Foreman before I go next?
No reaction to his comeback, but I just want to shout out George Foreman having 5 sons all called George. Which I don't know what else you can say other than respect George Foreman.
Cool. Can I ask a favour? Has somebody got a telly on in the background? Because you can hear it.
It's me. Oh God, stop it. 2 seconds.
Yeah, please turn it down for us. Because that's going to be a pain in the ass to cut out of the audio version of this podcast. Right, while Dockers is doing that, then I'll kick off the third round, but just a reminder then of the second round. So Byron, with the 5th overall pick, took Alex Ferguson, turning things around at Manchester United after he was almost out the door. Dockers then took the 2005 Champions League final, Liverpool versus AC Milan. Liverpool coming back from 3-0 down to win the European Cup. Joe took Super Bowl 51, Patriots coming back from 28-3 against the Atlanta Falcons to win Super Bowl 51. And I took George Foreman, winning a world heavyweight title, aged 45 years old. So, me again, I'm going to go again. I've not got an in-game one yet. And I'm still not going to take what I'm guessing you guys may be expecting me to take. I'm going to pass on it. So, I'm going to move. I've got NFL boxing. And now I'm going to move on to the world of golf. And we've got, some of maybe the greatest of all time. We've had Muhammad Ali. We've had Michael Jordan make an appearance in this draft. My pick is Tiger Woods winning the 2019 Masters 11 years after his previous major title. So Tiger Woods, obviously renowned as ultimately the face of golf from when he burst through in the mid-90s. I mean, probably until now, right? You ask anybody to name a golfer, the first person they're probably going to pick is Tiger Woods.
Happy go,
Rory McIlroy.
I mean, I would go Tiger Woods.
I was just put the US Open on in the background, actually.
Yeah, not yet.
Keep the volume down, Paul.
Will be soon.
But, Tiger Woods. So, I mean, to go from, I suppose, the fall of Tiger Woods is what makes, I think, this so good. So Tiger Woods, absolutely undisputed. I think he's not as yet, and I don't think he will at this point. Won as many major championships as anybody else, but the sheer domination of the sport that Tiger Woods had from when he burst.
It was 264 days at world number 1, which is just ridiculous, effectively.
683 weeks.
Yeah, just
I thought days didn't seem so impressive.
I know, yeah.
I was like, is that all? Really?
Wow. So I knew it was summer. Week. Yeah, that did mean weeks.
It's 683 weeks.
What's like 15 years?
And given the variables in golf of, just the nature of that sport.
Yeah.
Typically, you'd see, what Tiger Woods changed what was dominance in golf. So somebody winning a couple of majors would have been considered somebody being dominant. What Tiger Woods achieved was ridiculous. Yeah, he spent in total amount of time is over 13 years as world number one. Up before this, he'd won 14 major championships, 4 Masters, 4 PGAs, 3 US Opens, and 3 Opens. You talk about golf at the minute, there's always this thing about people doing the career Grand Slam, so winning one of the 4 majors. We'll talk about Rory doing it, there's a couple of others. It's always mentioned. Tiger Woods has done that 3 times. Career Grand Slam. It's ridiculous. He's got tied for the most PGA Tour wins. And ultimately, the downfall, I suppose, is what sparks the comeback. And I think we'll all remember kind of when the story broke, the issues that Tiger Woods had with his marriage, infidelity issues, porn stars involved somewhere, him crashing his car.
Trees involved somewhere, weren't there?
Sorry?
There were trees involved as well.
Yeah, his missus trying to batter it. Oh, is that Adrian Peterson? His missus trying to batter him with a golf club, I think. So he took a self-imposed hiatus. So he's had kind of 2 mini comebacks, but the big one is obviously him coming back to win the Masters. Fell to kind of 50, 60 in the world. Came back from that to be number 1 in the world again. But his problems from a golfing perspective have come from his injuries. Tiger Woods, because of the way he hits the ball, and obviously, and the power he generates has just fucked his back, basically, from the sheer force that goes through his back from obviously how he played. And that caused him so many problems. He had to go through 4 back surgeries in 4 years, over 2014 to 2018. Came back, improved his performances, his finishes, won the 2018 Tour Championship, and that then set him up to go to Augusta 11 years after his previous major title, which was the 2008 US Open, and win a 5th green jacket, which then put him on 15 career major tournament wins. It's not only that he just went and beat, he went and beat the guys that were at the top of the rankings at that time were the guys that were chasing him. He won by 1 shot. He beat Dustin Johnson, Xander Schauffele, and Brooks Koepka, who were the top guys at the time, to win that green jacket. And at 43, he was the 2nd oldest player to win the Masters after Jack Nicklaus. And not just a fantastic comeback from Tiger. So what do you think, Tiger Woods, the 2019 Masters?
It was definitely on the list. Yeah, I think there's certainly some controversy from that, but you can't take away from his pure golf ability, effectively. 4 major back surgeries, 50, he's just a ridiculous golf player, to be honest. So to come back at that age and win such a high-profile trophy, outstanding.
Yeah, cool. Good stuff. Byron, Joe, Tiger.
Yeah, great pick. To us, I had it up there. It would have been maybe chosen. So, and I think when I was reading about it, the fact that he dropped out of the top 1,000 golfers in 2017.
Yeah.
So even a year or so before, it was not even in the top 1,000 to then be able to come back and win a Masters. And like you said, it's an individual sport, and there's plenty what do it. Each Masters, so in order to actually win one was pretty incredible. And great pick for the 3rd round, Paul. I'll actually give you some positive feedback for once.
I think good value, right? I'm not being funny, not to get ahead of it. My board's looking pretty good so far.
But because of that comment, we're not going to vote for you. That's the problem, Paul.
I'm not a golf man at all. This wasn't on my list, and that's through my ignorance of golf, etc. Tiger Woods went 11 years without winning a major.
11 years without winning a major.
That is insanity. I mean, this obviously is a good pick because for a man of that ability to come back after 11 years without a major, and I knew he had his injury problems because he fucked his knee as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, he was lucky. He was in a car. So that's happened more recently. Yeah. He was in a car crash where, again,
was there drugs involved in that?
Well, apparently so. Yeah, that might have been what caused.
We are live streaming.
Crash.
Yeah. Prescription, I think it was. I'm sure he was yeah. Just in case we get sued.
Which caused him to crash his car, and then he's had severe leg problems. So again, I think he had a horrific leg break in the car crash. not quite as bad as Alex Smith. But again, so you look at him like he can't walk, he can barely walk. When you look at him now, like he can't get around the golf course. I don't think he's got much longer left. But yeah, cool. So
he couldn't walk because of the leg or because of his extramarital affairs?
I think it was the leg, yeah.
Okay, didn't have him pegged for that.
So we'll move on from Tiger. Joe, bounce back to you, your third pick.
Cool. So I've got quite a lot to choose from, and I think I've got ones probably higher up than what I'm going to choose. But because I've got a Sporting career comeback, I've got an in-game, so I think I'm going to go within series comeback, and I'm going to go into the world of basketball, and I'm going to choose the Cleveland Cavaliers coming back against the Golden State Warriors in the NBA Finals when they were 3-1 down to possibly or arguably the greatest team or regular team in the history of NBA, winning 73 games to the fact that they just came back from 3-1, which was like the first time anyone actually did that within the NBA Finals and against the best team who they had lost to last year. So it's coming back from the year before, the disappointment of losing and winning Cleveland. I think it was their first NBA title. Don't quote me on that, but
I think it was.
Yeah. So to do that, to come back from that deficit, I think it's going to be high up there because it's not easy to come. Well, coming back from 3-1 against anyone is difficult, but then to come back against such a great team with superstars. I know they have LeBron James on their team, but that's my third round pick.
Yeah, cool. NBA Finals 2018, yeah? 2016, 2018. Oh, Byron,
2016.
Yeah, I had no idea when it was, but a quick Google got me 2016. Hopefully that is.
Yep. What do you think then? Cavs beating the Warriors in the NBA Finals.
The first ever team to come back from 1-3 down and win the NBA Finals, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Golden State were incredible at the time. Again, not on my shortlist because I'm not a basketball man other than my 101, Michael Jordan. But I don't keep up with like the regular seasons. I'm more big narrative when it comes to NBA. Obviously, incredible to be the only team to have done it, or the first team to have done it, certainly. And again, it felt like the Golden State Warriors were going to like rewrite NBA at that time. So, certainly a worthy pick.
And it feels like LeBron James' story as well. That the fact that he like cemented his place within basketball history as arguably the one
in his hometown, right?
Yeah, one or two of the greatest basketball players, and he came from that cutback. It didn't feel like Golden State Warriors lost it, like what people said about the second pick, but that the Cleveland Cavaliers actually went out and actually got the NBA title for Cleveland, his hometown.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it's a great pick. Dockers.
Great pick. It wasn't on my list, to be honest. I still had LeBron James, didn't they? To me, whilst the Golden State Warriors are fantastic, he's some player in LeBron James, to be honest. So it does seem to inspire his teams to come back and win to some degree. So solid pick. Just probably one on my list.
Still going strong, LeBron. Wonder if he'll hold on to be able to play with his son when he comes out of college and if he comes.
I think that's his aim. Isn't it? To have a go.
LeBron and Bronny.
If he retires for a few years and comes back for it, could be on Good Teams Win 2026 Best Comebacks Draft.
Yeah. You think Good Teams Win Great Teams covers going to still be going in 2026? I like your optimism, Byron.
That'll be the comeback special. To be meta.
We'll come back. Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Right, Dockers, we'll throw it over to you for your third pick. So you've got Alex and Ardy, Champions League final, Liverpool, AC Milan. What's going to be your third pick?
I was inspired by a documentary on Disney, The Captain, which just talked about this game or this series in great detail. So I'm going back to 2004. I'm picking the Boston Red Sox in a 3-0 hole against the Yankees. I think a bit of detail around this Red Sox team. They were 98-64 in the regular season. They scraped into the playoffs on a wild card. Seemed to start getting some momentum effectively. Swept the Anaheim Angels, and then the big one effectively up against the Yankees. History suggested that they stood no chance whatsoever, and then they proceeded to put themselves in a 3-0 hole effectively. Game 4, Yankees in front effectively, had an opportunity on second base to effectively stop a stolen base, which changed the game effectively. Managed to get back into that game, and then David Ortiz smashed a massive homer late in extra innings effectively. Red Sox went on to win the series, beat the curse of Babe Ruth, if you ever believe that effectively, and then went on to win the World Series. So it was pretty ridiculous. I got the 3-0 hole. I didn't know how deep they were down in game 4 effectively as well. It was on the line at that point, and one big hit effectively changes it, but also one bad throw changes the face of history. And then the Red Sox effectively beat the curse of Ruth, which is just some story, to be honest.
It was my next pick. I would, if that if that was still around, I'd have been taking that. I'm relatively new into baseball, but big into it now. It's a great story. You are literally, you have there is no margin for error at 3-0 down in a series, and it's not just then winning game 4. It's that how they were down in game 4, they were right on the edge of being swept, and then to come back, beat the Yankees, beat your biggest rival, and then go on and win the World Series. Yeah, I have a really, real solid pick. I do like it. Gents, Joe, Byron, what do you think?
Yeah, great pick. Actually, I think I watched that documentary about a couple of months ago. It was actually really interesting and learning about that. And yeah, being like the first the baseball playoff history to force Game 7 being 3 down, obviously winning it as well. It's a huge achievement, and great comeback against the rivals. I think that makes it even bigger, the fact that it was against your main rivals.
Huge, yeah.
The reason why you have this curse. Yeah, the reason why you have this curse to actually, if it was just against just a random team from America, the Pittsburgh Pirates, it could be it would not be as interesting, but yeah, definitely a great pick.
Do you know I follow the Pittsburgh Pirates, Joe, or was that just a random right here?
No, I knew that part.
Yeah. I know, bad choice. We won't find many Pittsburgh. There won't be a Pittsburgh Pirates moment on this draft anyway. Byron, I know you're not necessarily a big baseball guy, but yeah.
I mean, if 1-3 is impressive, 0-3 has to be more impressive, right?
Yeah.
And like you say, I mean, I'm not a baseball guy, but I like narratives and long arching stories. And the curse of Babe Ruth is obviously I'm an American citizen now. I must know about it. So, yeah, incredible story, incredible comeback. No problem at all with me being picked there.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I think got pretty good value, really. So, Byron, finish off round 3 for us. So you've taken return of Michael Jordan, Alex Ferguson turning things around at Manchester United. What's your third?
My third is a little similar to your third round pick as well, Paul, and I'm going for another all-time great of their sport. So Michael Jordan, best in basketball. Alex Ferguson, you would certainly argue the greatest football coach of all time. Dockers might spit his drink out. I'm going to go Roger Federer's 2017 year.
Ooh.
Roger Federer hadn't won a major event since 2012. In 2016, he was ranked 16 in the world, his lowest world ranking in that for over 12 years, I believe. And he went on to win the Australian Open. He won Wimbledon, and he was just playing some of the greatest tennis of his career, the best tennis he played in nearly 10 years. Possibly my favorite athlete of all time. He'd been wrote off a lot in those prior years between 2012 and 2017. Too old. He was 35 when he won the Australian Open in a 5-set incredible final against Rafa Nadal, his longtime rival. To come back at that age after being wrote off in 2016 and hitting a low of 16 is just inspiring. He had no marital affairs to make it a little juicier, unfortunately, but to see a man of such class, grace, ability, timelessness come back in such a way was emotional and incredible. I love Roger Federer, and I loved how he came back because I didn't think he had another major in him.
Nice. Roger Federer 2017. I also am a big fan of Roger Federer. He's just a classy guy, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. There's never any issues with him. He's tennis. He knows what he's doing. And he's fantastic at it. So you can't even hate the guy when he's that good, to be honest.
You can't.
You just
everything he does is just so elegant. Like
you can't hate that. That's just class. And
it's fun to watch as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, I think
Oh.
When he was getting up at Wimbledon, just watching him from his early days was just a dream to watch from a tennis perspective. I'm not a big tennis fan. I might watch Wimbledon for some strawberries and cream or something like that, but I'm not that big into tennis. But yeah, he's fundamentally one of the greatest sportsmen ever to
Big glass of
grace the
Pimm's,
earth.
Dockers.
No, I'm an eater.
Dockers feels like he's a Wimbledon guy, doesn't he? He's kind of he's the kind of guy they're after at SW19. Just
Yeah.
The guy who falls asleep in the crowd and gets sunburn,
yeah. After 18 pints.
Yeah.
Of Pimm's, my man.
Thoughts on Roger Federer then, Joe?
Yeah, I need to pick it. I didn't have it on my list.
Yeah,
didn't think about that being a comeback, but yeah, he's as Byron explained, it makes sense, and I think he's everyone's most people's favorite tennis player, especially in our era. So they come back, and I think everyone was happy for him. There's certain tennis players where they're a bit machine-like, or
he was just a classic guy, isn't he?
Exactly.
He's a player to watch as well.
And you're happy for him when he wins.
Quite happily watch him get run over, but Roger Federer is a classic guy.
Exactly. Yeah. So good.
Yeah, it wasn't on my list. Yeah, I just I think it's that point of you just thought his career went on and on and on and just dominated. But yeah, I think it's great knowledge and a solid pick from that perspective because it was magnificent in that year.
Yeah. Well done, Byron. Great pick. So that was you finished off round 3 for us there. So we had Tiger Woods. I took Tiger Woods winning the 2019 Masters. Joe took Cleveland Cavaliers coming back from 3-1 down in the 2016 NBA Finals to win it. Dockers took the Red Sox coming back from 3-0 in 2004. Was it the American League Divisional Series? I think it was. Against the New York Yankees to then go on and win the World Series, which I think is a key point with that one. And then, Byron, you took Roger Federer's 2017 season. Good stuff. I didn't think we were going to see tennis, but I'm glad we have. Byron, round 4, start us off with your 4th pick.
Well, if Paul isn't going to go to May 1999, I guess I have to, right?
Oh, you bastard.
The day is May the 8th, 1999. Obviously known in Carlisle, England, St. Jimmy's Day.
Yes.
Carlisle United, with 3 games to go in the season, sell their only goalkeeper to Blackpool, Tony Craig. Carlisle gets special dispensation from the FA to sign a replacement goalie on loan. Their choice is Jimmy Glass from Swindon. Jimmy Glass does not lose a game in Carlisle. Carlisle are battling relegation, which the chairman is delighted to have happen so he can sell Brunton Park for commercial reasons. He could not get permission while Carlisle were a Football League club. Going to the last day, Carlisle into better Scarborough's result, who were playing Peterborough. In the last minute, it is 1-1 in both games. Carlisle get a corner. Scott Dobie heads it. It's saved. And who is there to smash home the rebound? Jimmy Glass, the on-loan goalkeeper. There is no more fun and ultimately rewarding comeback in football history. Winning Champions League is great. Winning a Premier League is great. Winning a World Cup is great. Having your club exist is impossible to capture. Without that goal from the goalkeeper, there would be no Carlisle United. The club would have been sold. The ground would have been sold. We'd be a Phoenix club at best. Thanks to the right boot of one on-loan goalkeeper who played 3 games for the club, Carlisle United now exists. They got promoted this year. And unless you know the story of what led to Michael Knighton and what led to that moment in Carlisle United's history, it's kind of hard to surmise of it just being a staying up with the relegation, but it really is something that saved the club. Carlisle is the only football league, well, Barrow are now in the football league, but for decades were the only football league team in Cumbria. There is no catchment area for another football league club for the fans to go and support. Jimmy Glass really did save the community and save the football club.
Yeah, it's a great, great moment. It really, really is. It is unbelievable. I remember, I think I was in the pub with my dad. So I'd been 10 at the time, and it was on the Final Score or Soccer Saturday when it happened. It was on in the pub, and just unbelievable. Yeah, just got, how often does that happen? A goalkeeper scoring a goal, but
not just a goal.
Not such an important goal. To save a relegation, to save a club, to save a community. It's just an unbelievable story. And one that's still fondly remembered 20 odd years on. I think people know, if you say Jimmy Glass, people know what you're referring to.
Yeah,
brilliant. Joe, Byron, a bit of it's a very personal pick to Byron, but what do we think?
I think it's a special pick. I think you probably don't understand the sort of material impact that has, with being out of, out with that area. But yeah, it's a moment that stood out. It's a special moment from that perspective. And as it went on, the club was saved. So it's huge just from that local town, local area perspective. So yeah, solid pick, and it's very personal, which is ultimately what matters.
Yeah,
I think it's a great goal, great situation, but is it quite a comeback? Like, what are they coming back from? Like,
relegation.
Yeah, but it's like but it's like that's just you're just stopping something happening. It's not they weren't relegated, they came back. It's just they just
as the table stood, they were relegated.
Okay, just throwing it out there, just
Play a bit of Joe's just playing a bit of devil's advocate, Byron.
Exactly.
I'm entitled to answer to it.
Come on, boys.
Comeback is might be a bit strong. It was a great moment. If we're doing great sporting moments, last minute winners, it'd be certainly straight up there. But as a comeback, could be.
Not to tip picks, I don't think anybody will take this one. But Andy nearly joined us. So Andy, my pal, joined us for the covers draft. But Andy's a big Oldham Athletic fan, so I think we'd have definitely got Oldham surviving in that first season of the Premier League. They were 9 points behind QPR with 3 games to go, won all 3. QPR lost all 3, and they managed to stay up on goal difference. We'd have definitely got that one as a pick. I expect.
Surely that's QPR falling apart, though, isn't it? Really,
a little bit, yeah. Oldham won 4-3 on the last day, being behind as well. But so shout out, there you go, Andy and Rob. If you end up listening to this, we got an Oldham mention. I'm guessing nobody would have taken that. I've not just
scratched off my list then.
Yeah. Cool. Dockers, back to you then.
So there's a few different things floating around my head, but I think it's high in the news at the moment. I'm going to go some cricket, effectively. There's a couple of different options here, but the one that stands out for me, certainly as an England cricket fan, is 1981 at Headingley. I think England in a massive hole, effectively. Just 500 to 1. Australia were on at one point, effectively. And then somebody called Ian Botham, went to the wicket, and just some magnificent innings. Effectively, I think they were 135 for 7 at one point in a super massive hole against a great Australian team, effectively. And he went on and just smacked it round the park, effectively. 145, I think, not out. He ended up on. England were probably in a bit of context, not that great at that time as well. Probably in a bit of a mess, to be honest. They weren't a fantastic team. And I think it just changed the whole methodology around that England team. He wasn't on his own when he changed the game effectively, but, he did need Mr. Bob Willis to step up and take 8 for 43 on day 5 effectively. But I think one innings, one person standing up at a difficult time definitely swung the Ashes effectively. And yeah, it will always stand out as just an incredible innings to me, to be honest. No helmet, just stood there cracking it round. What a player, what a guy. He had to be on there.
Yeah, Botham's Ashes, the 1981 Ashes. Certainly right now, we've just had the first Ashes test. Started this week. Great memories. I think for me, the Ashes, I'm a big cricket fan. Some key series. And yeah, I think that one definitely deserves to be on the list. It might have gone next from me, but it certainly was on my list. Joe, Byron, what are your thoughts on Botham's Ashes?
Legendary.
Yeah.
Before my time.
Nice and simple. I like it.
All what was needed.
It's before my time, so I don't recall. Obviously, don't recall. I wasn't around for it happening in real time, but like growing up as a huge cricket fan, and just like it was always what England need to have, and it's that moment that lives in history, and it is legendary. And like you say, just stood swinging the bat around it. Incredible.
Yeah, I think it's a great pick because I think there was another Ashes moment which I've got on the list, and I think this one's better because even the other one might be a better comeback within the game, but the full series we still didn't end up retaining it. So I think the fact that this one we actually won the series means a bit more for this draft wise anyway. But yeah, because I was it was in between them two, and I probably would have chosen this one if I had to choose a cricket one. It was in between the two. So yeah, good choice.
Yeah, great choice. Good stuff. Well done, Dockers. Solid pick.
Thanks, pal.
Good. Nice to get some good feedback. Joe, your fourth.
I think I'm just going to choose it because no one's chosen it so far, and I think my other picks will probably be there later on. So I'm just going to go for Man U versus Bayern in the Champions League final. Being 1-0 down with what was it? I know Doc is not going to vote for any of us, so might as well guess another Man U one in there. But yeah, being 1-0 down and scoring 2 in the substitution. I remember watching it being young and just being amazed how it all happened, because it was just incredible that the comeback just to not only just get it to extra time, but then to go and to win it and to also make it to be the treble. I think that makes it a bit more special that it was to achieve something what not many teams have actually achieved as well. There's only 2 now. So the fact that comeback to win all that pressure to win the treble and to win the Champions League on the biggest stage, great comeback, especially for the 4th round. I thought that would be going up fairly early, to be honest. So
yeah, good value. I was debating whether to take it when I was taking Tiger, but I was like, I'll chance that it'll come back round, but it didn't. But yeah, obviously, certainly a special one for me. Late in May 1999, Ollie scored a goal in injury time. Yeah, what a night.
2 substitutes as well, scoring. They came back off the bench.
Yeah. It was, just incredible because the game itself. So when you look at it, and I'm not trashing the pick, obviously, Joe, I am fully in support of this pick. When you look at it on the basis of it, though,
trash it, Paul. Trash it.
Yeah, I'm kind of going to, but not into. That's not my point. You go 1-0 down after 5 minutes in a football game and then win the game is basically what happened. So when you look at that, but it is obviously absolutely special. 2 goals right at the death. United didn't look like scoring the entire game. Bayern hit the post, hit the bar, that Mehmet Scholl chip, Janka overhead kick smashes the bar. United are holding on for dear life. The first goal, Schmeichel causing chaos in the box with Giggs and then Sheringham to scuff it in. And then Solskjaer as well.
And it's one like it's a Champions League. What like most people, there's like that in Istanbul. I don't know if there's many more where you like name the best Champions League finals. And I know you're saying they were 1-0 down after 5-6 minutes, not a great comeback, but they were also 1-0 down at 90 minutes as well.
At 90 minutes,
yeah. So it's like it is a great comeback when someone said, "Oh, it's 90 minutes, they're 1-0 down," and to not just like, "Oh, if they got an equaliser, take the penalties," but like a Polish keeper came off his line and saved it, So that's a joint, but they actually came back and they actually won it within, with scoring 2 in 2 minutes. So could be a great
brilliant. And there's little things. And Byron, we would have discussed this had our previous recording not gone too well, but so many things about the final itself. Keane and Scholes were suspended for the final.
Ill-disciplined.
You sent your entire central midfield was suspended for the final. Play Beckham and Butt play. Jesper Blomqvist played in the European Cup final for Manchester United. Just that bit not being in the game. Bayern were going at that point. Bayern were also going for the treble, so they'd won the league. They were then had the Champions League final, and then the week after they had the German Cup. So they lost the Champions League final and also lost the German Cup. But it was another team chasing the same thing that Manchester United were trying to chase. In the semi-final, there's a huge thing. Juventus had a poor year domestically, but Juventus were trying to get to a 4th European Cup final. You talked about that AC Milan team earlier. Now, the Juve team had players missing or injured, but Zidane, Inzaghi, there's going to be loads I'm missing, but just top players. Deschamps played in that team. Zambrotta played in that team. Just top players. Davids, there's others that I'm also missing. Conte played in that team. Yeah. Just a top side. Thierry Henry was in that team, but obviously wasn't as good as he ended up being.
Del Piero.
Del Piero was injured. Del Piero didn't play, I don't think, in the semi-final. Was injured. Filippo Inzaghi, just top players. And that was a team that were considered at the time the best team in Europe. But we're trying to get to a 4th European Cup final in a row.
Best medical team in Europe.
Best medical team in Europe, yeah, absolutely. And everything, get a key one in that. And that one could have been its own one. Roy Keane's performance in that second leg in Turin. to drag you. There's probably English football. There's a few kind of individual performances that are talked about. Gerrard's in the final is one. Beckham against Greece is another one that's talked about quite a lot, about somebody just putting an entire team on the back. Roy Keane, Incherin, United with 3-1 down on aggregate in that second leg, turned it around. So yeah, a brilliant one. And I started to go from trashing your pick, Joe, to then actually turning it around and hyping it up big time.
And Wes Brown was on your pick, right? Yeah, Wes Brown was on the bench as well. You know what I mean? So that's got to count for something. Yeah, Jonathan Green. You know.
Jonathan Green, Michael Clegg got a medal not too long. He opened a gym in Ashton after that because his career was ruined. I don't know if you've been. Have any of you guys been and done the tour? I've been lucky enough to go to the new camp to watch United a fair few times. Have any of you guys been to the new camp and done the tour?
No.
So there's a bit around the tour. Basically, it's in one of the stands, and there's a bit where kind of major. There's a piece on the wall. It's not big, and it's major finals that are taking place at the new camp. So Copa del Rey finals, other kind of European finals, and the picture. Bearing in mind of that final and what happened and the goals, the picture of United's '99 win is David fucking May.
Love it. It's a great picture, to be fair.
On somebody's shoulders.
Yeah, it's a great picture.
Yeah. So yeah, a great picture. I'll stop talking about it because obviously it's not just me who's in here. Dockers, Byron, what are your thoughts on?
I've got no words. I just got no words whatsoever. Yeah, moving on.
So the great thing was Lothar Matthäus on the bench in '99, thinking he's about to win his Champions League final. Yeah, I'm really surprised this didn't go already. I thought this would be Paul's 1-1. Truthfully, I probably wouldn't have picked it just for personal taste, I guess. But
it's a good choice.
Regardless of it being a 1-0 in, to the 2-1, you can't strip all the context from it. For the emotion of it, winning the treble of it, yeah, it's an incredible comeback. It's a great value in the fourth round. Like I say, for my personal taste, and obviously for Docker's personal taste, it wouldn't have been getting drafted. Period, I don't think, by us two. But I thought Paul would have took it. I can't believe Paul didn't take it second or third round. If he didn't take it first. And
Byron, it helps out Alex Ferguson's legacy, you know what I mean, as well, for his comeback.
Exactly, yeah. So really, it's just piggybacking, but it's a good piggyback.
Cool. Love the pick, Joe. Obviously, that was what I was going to take next. Like I said, I should have took it before, but I was trying to be balanced. I'm also trying to win. And,
you can tell that Dockers is feeling it. Dockers is just up and gone.
Switched.
I'm still here.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right, so it's put me in a bit of a bind now because I was hoping
is gone.
Yeah, Jimmy Glass is gone. I'm struggling now. I've got what I was hoping that United were going to be there, and then I had another one. I'm going to go back to the NFL. I'm going to go back to the NFL, and I'm going to take... which one am I going to take? I'm going to take Colts v Saints from 2003. Monday Night Football game. Peyton Manning, Indianapolis Colts. 21 down with less than 4 minutes to go in the game. And a combination of a kick return, an onside kick, Peyton Manning leading a couple of big drives, gets the Colts to overtime against the Saints, and then they go win it 38-35 in overtime. It's a big comeback in a prime time game, I suppose. Big Monday Night Football game, and another one involving one of the all-time greats in Peyton Manning, one of the all-time great quarterbacks, just to be able to, under pressure in a big hole, to be able to kind of come back and lead his team to win. Yeah, I just think 3 possessions down with less than 4 minutes to go is incredible. The amount of times that would get turned around in the NFL is, it's 1 in a million, isn't it? So yeah, there's been bigger ones, bigger comebacks, I think, in terms of point deficits, but in terms of kind of the combination of how far they were behind, how little time there was left on the clock, and what it took. Kind of all 3 phases help Indianapolis win that game. Special teams with the return, defense holding up, onside kick recovery, and Manning working his magic. Is one for me. Under pressure there. What do we think?
Well, my biggest issue is it was against the Bucs.
Oh, he was against the Bucs, not the Saints. Sorry, yes. Apologies. Yeah, it was against the Tampa Bay.
Wow.
Where did I get the Saints from?
No idea, but I was quickly Googling.
We're looking at 2 picks, yeah.
I
thought, can't remember against
it was against the Bucs in Tampa. Yes, sorry.
Yes, it was
and again, one element is that was a great Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. Yeah. They go on and win the Super Bowl, don't they?
I think they just won the Super Bowl.
Just won the Super Bowl, yeah.
They still had that incredible defense, yeah.
Yes, yeah. Thank you for digging me out there. Apologies to the New Orleans Saints fans that watch this for me just having a pop at your team for no reason. But yes, it's Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which is part of the reason why the comeback's so good. Thank you.
I'm a bit shocked, to be honest. I had 2 other NFL games above this one. I didn't even really heard of this one. That's what, compared to some of the other ones, and how you've explained it, it's a couple of special teams. Then have they actually won it on special teams, or the other team lost it because special teams, you shouldn't allow anything. But yeah, I had 2. I don't know if anyone's going to choose any more games. I don't know if I want to say the NFL games out loud, but there was especially, definitely.
I might. So
we'll have honourable mentions.
Yeah, we'll have honourable mentions.
Okay. But yeah, I was surprised you chose this one because I've never heard of this comeback. In terms of it's not a famous comeback or this you should watch it. Yeah, compared to some of the other ones. So I was surprised. I think it was a panic pick, Paul.
One that it wasn't a panic pick. I was under pressure.
You're throwing your chances away after the first 3 picks,
Yeah,
lay yourself down.
Really yeah, I've let myself down. And then it's me again. So just to go through the 4th round, we had Byron took Jimmy Glass, saving not only Carlisle's Football League status, but saving the club for a town with the goalkeeper scoring a last-minute winner. Brilliant. The 1981 Ashes from Dockers. Joe Pitt and Manchester United's incredible 1999 European Cup final win, 2 goals in injury time from Sheringham and Solskjaer. I took Colts v Bucks Monday Night Football 2003. I feel like I want to take the other NFL one that I should have took, but then I suppose I can be NFL heavy. We are an American football show after all. Now it's the 2 I want to answer. There's 2. Do I take the more recent one or do I take the older one?
I'm kind of scared of both of them.
Sorry?
I'm scared of both of them with your last pick.
Yeah. I think if it's a 2 I'm thinking of, I'll choose the old one.
I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to pick the Buffalo Bills versus the Houston Oilers, January 1993 for the 1992 season in the AFC playoffs. The Oilers are up 38-3 in the 3rd quarter. And current NFL coach, Frank Reich, steps in for the Buffalo Bills, leads them back to tie the game, and then they go win it in overtime in a playoff game. Just a brilliant, brilliant comeback. It's what I probably should have took instead of the Colts v Bucks. And then the other pick probably won't go, and it's a really good one, which is a shame. But yeah, Bills v Oilers, I think that's a pretty standard one. So it's the biggest playoff NFL comeback. It's not the biggest NFL comeback. I don't think that game will get picked. But yeah, the biggest playoff comeback. And yeah, it is a real shame that the Bills didn't. That was in the run, I believe, where the Bills went and lost 4 Super Bowls in a row. A shame that one didn't lead to them winning the Super Bowl, because what a great story that would have been. But certainly a great comeback from the Buffalo Bills against the Houston Oilers. Thoughts?
Incredible comeback, yeah.
Solid comeback.
I think widely regarded as the greatest comeback in NFL history, regardless of what point totals tell you. Much better than the Colts versus Saints or Bucks in 2003.
Yeah.
It's a legendary comeback and well worth the pick.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is this is like 93, so I would have been 2 when this happened, but it's still like everyone knows this one, so it must have been a special moment, and to be in a playoff game and to be down that much and score so quickly with your backup quarterback. I think that's another thing on top of that. You haven't got Peyton Manning thrown around, and that you've got literally a backup quarterback and managed to come back against.
So there's another one, and I'm guessing. I don't want to take the pick just in case you do. Are any of you, between you, Joe, Dockers, and Byron, are you going to take a college football
Are you going to talk about Frank Reich?
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to take it, but I was going to talk about the same thing. Yeah, incredible.
Doc, is with you, Joe? Are you going to take a college football one? Do you think?
No, I'm going to take it. No.
So Frank Reich also has a second memorable comeback.
Yep.
As quarterback of Michigan State.
Yeah.
Maryland, right?
Maryland. Why am I thinking Michigan State? I'm thinking of the other one. But another ridiculous comeback in college football. So he's got 2 of those on his resume, which is, man in a crisis. Although, why is he such a terrible NFL head coach?
I think that's harsh.
Yeah, that's a bit harsh. Terrible, Paul.
I would say terrible.
Really? He had a bad few years of Colts, but other than that, he's done all right.
The Carson Wentz whisperer, right?
The 2017 NFL OC whisperer who, dragged Nick Foles to Super Bowl MVP.
True. Some people should just stay coordinators. Head coaching isn't for everyone.
Who would have thought a Frank Reich take on...
If there's one thing I would not do, it is write off Frank Reich.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if history's taught us anything, if history's taught us anything, it is absolutely to not write off Frank Reich. Cool, that's me done then. So my board is Alex Smith coming back from his horrific leg break to play again in the NFL. George Foreman, world heavyweight champion at 45. Tiger Woods come back to win the 2019 Masters after going 11 years without a major win. Colts v Bucks Monday Night Football 2003 and Bills v Oilers AFC Playoffs 1993. Joe, finish your board off for us.
I've got a lot of picks here. I've got a lot where I could choose. But I think the issue is, do I want the same sport with all the others, or do I want to go completely different sport? And something, I wouldn't say it's left field, but it certainly probably wasn't expected. Yeah, you know what? I'll go for that. I'm going to go for Monica Seles, tennis player who, when she was 20 years old, she was top of the game, number 1, won 8 Grand Slams at that point, and then a fan of Steffi Graf ran onto the court and stabbed her in the back. And I think it just missed the spinal cord, so that would have completely ruined her career. Obviously, I want to be able to walk, so maybe like a life as well. And the fact that she came back after a few years, obviously, it's not just coming out, over the comeback from the injury itself. It's the psychological scars as well that anyone could just attack you on the court. And it's like a crazy fan. So the fact that she came back and then won the 1996 Australian Open, I think it's just incredible feat, especially when you were 20 years old when you were dominant, and for something like that to happen, it's one of them crazy things where you never imagine it happening. When you're just playing a world class sport, and where she was to then come back, it's I think it's an amazing feat, and happy with the pick on 5th and to go for tennis again. 2 tennis, who would have thought?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting any tennis picks, but we've got 2. Yeah, so Monica Seles recovering from being stabbed by a lunatic to come back and win a major championship. What do you think, Byron Dockers?
So it was on the list. I was thinking about that one. I was split between that pick and something else, because I think she won the French Open for youngest ever when she was 16 or something. So in a really ridiculous position, and then some moron effectively stabs her in the back and changes her career to some degree. Suffered a lot of depression, a lot of issues. So solid comeback, certainly to win a major championship again to some degree. Probably extended her career a little too long, because it didn't quite go as well after the Australian Open. But to sort of the circumstances and go on to win it is I was going to pick it if it was still there, that's for sure.
Fair enough. Byron, any thoughts on Monica Seles?
No, it wasn't on my list, but it is incredible. Like Joe mentioned, I don't know how you'd get it out. You'd have to see a psychologist, obviously, but every time you step onto the court, I dislocated my shoulder playing tennis, and I hated playing that first few times after, because I felt so, I served and slipped in an airtight court, which had water leakage. I'm not sure it was fully airtight, as they indicated. But I slipped on water and dislocated my shoulder. It's an awful injury. And the first few times I served, months later, when I was finally recovered, I had psychological issues of tensing up and not wanting to, imagine someone knifing you and then be like, oh, I'm just going to go back out and play. No, then to win a major championship again is awe-inspiring. Very solid pick. It wasn't on my list, but again, more out of my ignorance, I must be honest, than it not being a good comeback. It clearly is, and it's well worth celebrating.
Yeah, and I want to give Byron props. He was on my list. I think I would have picked him if Monica Sellers wasn't there to be a comeback from his shoulder. So it'll be an honourable mention by the end.
Byron, you get on as an honourable mention. Good stuff. Right, that finishes off your board, Joe. Dockers, finish off yours. You've got so far Alex Zanardi, Liverpool 2005 Champions League final, Boston Red Sox 2004 comeback from 3-0, and the 1981 Ashes.
So I'm going to pick a different sport. I'll just go in my head. I'm going to pick different ones. So I'm going to go back to February 22nd, 1980. Olympic Games, Lake Placid. I'm going to pick the Miracle on Ice, effectively. So context of this, you're going up against the Soviet Union, which was just a ridiculous professional ice hockey team at that time. They've won 5 out of the last 6 gold medals, effectively. Ice hockey going in as a professional unit, effectively against a United States team, which were a bit sort of rags to riches. There were, amateur players effectively at that time. I love a bit of a, sort of sporting underdog story from that perspective. They were down 3-2 in the second period, and then went on to win it effectively. So I think it's more not for the game itself, because they only won it 4-3, but the sort of circumstances that led to that situation. Every time Soviet Union had played the States in the last 12, 16 years or whatever, they'd absolutely hammered them effectively. So nobody gave them a hope in hell at all in that ice hockey game. And being an amateur team turning over a professional team is just, one of them wonder moments in sport to effectively. So, yeah, I thought if it wasn't Monica Seles, because she was on the list, it was going to be the Miracle on Ice for me.
Miracle on Ice, good stuff. What do we think about the USA beat the Soviet Union to win Olympic gold in 1980? Byron, Joe?
I had 2 ice hockey picks, and spoiler alert, my last one is going to be ice hockey. And this was my number 2. It's an incredible story. It's an incredible legacy. The Soviet Union, as much as they were dominant, they were professionals. Soviet Union training regimes were also much more shady, to be polite, than most countries would be willing to do to their athletes. For USA to win that from 1-0 down, from 3-2 down, from 2 decades of domination is just, a great comeback. Incredible story.
Good stuff. Yeah, I like the pick. Joe, you're in Canada now, home of ice hockey.
I know. I should really, I should really know more about it. If I want to become a citizen here, I should. Well, it's America, really, isn't it? So we're probably not asking any of them questions about that. But so I missed most of that stuff. So, but no, it's a great pick. I didn't even realize it was a comeback. Because when you first picked it, I was like, oh, was it actually a comeback, or was it just a great team beating? I mean, a lesser team beating a great team, but obviously, there seems to be a comeback aspect that they were down 1-0 and 3-2. So,
and I do think coming back from the Soviet Union winning 3 gold medals in a row can also be a comeback in that sense of they're constantly beneath them.
But wasn't it because they were amateurs though, the Americans?
Yeah.
But they're still underneath them all those times. They're always losing.
Dominant, completely. Yeah.
But that's again, is that a comeback or is that an underdog story?
It can be both. Yeah. Is the Cavs winning the NBA from 1-3 down? Is that a comeback or is that an underdog?
It's a comeback. Yeah, because they were 3-1 down and they came back from there. That's all I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying. I just don't necessarily agree with it.
No.
Tell we're about to vote, can't you?
Yeah.
Cool. But I imagine if we did an all-time great sporting upsets draft as well, that would maybe be a pick that makes it for sure. Cool. Right, Byron, your board's looking at the minute. Michael Jordan returning to the NBA. Alex Ferguson turning things around at Manchester United. Roger Federer's 2017 tennis season. Jimmy Glass saving Carlisle United. What's the 20th and last pick of the all-time greatest sports comebacks draft going to be?
So this, I'm guessing, maybe presumptively, this might be one not many people on this call know too much about. I'm not sure if I didn't have a personal connection to it, I would know too much about, but I'm going to go with the St. Louis Blues, the ice hockey team, the 2018-19 season. So some context, the St. Louis Blues at this point were the oldest NHL team to have never won the Stanley Cup. They were part of the 1967 expansion draft, or expansion from the NHL. They made the Stanley Cup that first year and lost 4-0. They made the Stanley Cup the next year and lost 4-0. They made the Stanley Cup the next year and lost 4-0. Fast forward to 2018, they start 7-9-3 and fire their head coach and appoint their assistant coach to be head coach. They start 2019 with the worst record in the NHL. They're out in a pub watching the double doink Bears-Eagles game, and the pub plays Gloria. I'm not sure if you're all familiar with that song or not, but the players get infused by it, start saying, hey, when we win a game, this is what we should play after wins. January 9, they play Jordan Binnington, a rookie goaltender, give him his first start. They win a shutout. Soon after, the Blues rattle off a franchise record 11 wins in a row. They then go into the season third in the Central Division. They beat the Stars 3-2 from behind. They beat the Stars 4-3, 3-2 down. They beat the Sharks from 1-0 down, 1-2 down to win 4-2. And then they go into the Stanley Cup against the Bruins. They go down 1-0. They go down 1-2. They go 3-2. The Bruins bring it back to 3-3. And then the Blues finally win their first ever Stanley Cup 4-3 against the Boston Bruins.
Lord Stanley's trophy. St. Louis Blues winning the Stanley Cup finals. I suppose it's just that overall season. Against Boston Bruins team, who are obviously powerhouse in hockey as well. They had to play in the finals. Cool, good stuff. Dockers, Joe, thoughts on St. Louis Blues?
Heard of it, probably didn't know the exact context of it. It's definitely an interesting story and brings a dark night from the double doink in Benidorm watching the Bears Eagles game back to fruition, which was just not a great night at all. I can't even remember much of it after that, to be honest.
Well, if I wasn't getting your vote with Alex Ferguson, I've definitely cemented that.
I think Dockers just not going to vote.
23 episodes into this show, and we've had the first Benidorm reference.
There you go.
It's the first one you've got in. So I'll come back and do more. I've got plenty of them.
Next week we're doing the draft.
But yeah, very
Boston we'd like to go to Benidorm with.
That'd be a great draft.
Joe,
any thoughts from the St. Louis Blues?
Yeah, I think it's a good pick. I'd not really heard. I knew the St. Louis actually they won the Stanley Cup, but I didn't know the story behind it. And I think when Byron started, I was thinking, is this going to be another underdog versus comeback? But I think as he got on, there was definitely a lot of comebacks happening on there. So I think it's a good pick. And like I said, it was one out of left field, which I've not really heard of, and not knowing the worst start of the season. So I think it's a good pick overall. And he's got the hat on as well.
Nice.
My wife's a huge Blues fan. That's the only reason I even knew about it. We started watching it that year.
Nice.
And it's the only hockey I've ever watched. The playoffs were incredible. It's so exciting. And obviously I had to get a hat for the occasion.
Playoff hockey is pretty good. I'm not big into ice hockey, but playoff.
I'd love to go. Yeah,
NHL playoffs are really good. I don't know why, but
I think the same. Was it Chuck from NBA? He was saying that ice hockey's playoffs are more exciting than NBA playoffs and stuff like that. So it's exciting times. I think because it's especially when they go to overtime, it's next goal wins. It's
literally next goal wins.
Yeah, it's just that excitement, and they'll not stop. They'll just keep going until someone actually scores. So, but I've been to a few games actually. Yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah, and did you just not manage? Did we just have some Charles Barkley disrespect there? Is that what happened? Chuck from the NBA? Is that what?
Yeah, I can remember Chuck Barkley's last name.
Oh, Charles Barkley.
Charles Barkley's a
greatest ever player.
Well, he's a good friend. You know what I mean?
He's a personable guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think he'd respond to Chuck.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll move quickly. We'll move into honourable mention. So, but just before, we've got a bit of feedback for the show from Dan from Let's Talk Sports, who's watching along. Great show, guys. Some good feedback, which is good.
Who's Dan voting for? Is really the question.
Oh, should ask him. Yeah. Dan, let us know. You can cast a vote, Dan. So if we have a tiebreaker, Dan can split the tie. So honourable mentions. Any obvious ones that have been missed, or any on your list that you didn't select that you thought maybe should have gone?
Aguero.
Probably.
Yeah, fuck off.
I've got Aguero.
2 goals in stoppage time to win the first Premier League title is incredible.
Should have put it on there. Miracle at Medina, obviously.
I was going to say, I had that one.
10-4 down. Just, a magnificent comeback.
After the boxing one you were going to choose, Paul, was Tyson Fury. And that's the one
Tyson Fury was on my list, yeah.
Waking up like The Undertaker.
Yeah, it was like, his career and the actual
story,
it could have been like a double one that he ballooned up and then, all that thing.
Definitely.
Christian Eriksen as well, obviously.
Me too.
So Christian Eriksen probably should have gone, shouldn't he?
Yeah.
I think if Eriksen had reached a higher height in his comeback,
I
think he would have been on my list. But he definitely made my long list because I think kind of the time of it as well. Like obviously we all witnessed it live, and your worst thoughts go through your head, and to see him come back is incredible. Everyone likes Christian Eriksen as well, which certainly helps.
Yeah, and I had a few NFL ones. I had Eric Berry obviously coming back as well. Adrian Peterson obviously with his ACL and then coming back and winning MVP and all them kind of ones. And then my last one, in case I was struggling, was going to be like Peyton coming back from like fusing his neck and everyone thinking his career was over to then throwing like the most touchdowns and all that kind of thing. And then I also had like the Rum DMC kind of one was going to be, could you put the New Orleans Saints coming back from Hurricane Katrina and winning Super Bowl? And but I wasn't quite sure, is it actually the team coming back or is it the town? That's
the city of New Orleans.
Yeah, so I wasn't quite sure if that would be an argument and it would be the... I like how we've got like the Rum DMC, like everyone hopefully knows what that means.
That's going to be a reference for this podcast.
That Steve Gleason moment, that blocked pun is... Oof, it wasn't on my list, but I love that shout. Actually, I didn't consider it, but I would call it a comeback as well.
That first game at the Superdome,
And one random NFL. And one random one. I had Dennis Taylor versus Steve Davis in the World Championship.
I had
that.
But then I was a bit like, if I choose it, I've probably not got anything to talk about that. Just about what happened.
Such a great moment. Cool. Any others, Dockers, Byron, that were on your list?
I had another NFL one, which was the Colts coming back against the Chiefs in the playoffs in 2013, might be 2014.
2014, yeah.
Which was an incredible, and it was Andrew Luck, who one of my favorite NFL players of all time. Absolutely loved the fella. Loved watching him play. He had that. There was a fumble, and he just picked it up and dived over the goal line. Incredible moment. What else did I have on my list here? Claudio Ranieri, I had on my list. Coming back from he became a bit of a joke figure in European football. He was fired by Greece after failing to beat. He might have lost to. I didn't do much research because it was on my long list, but they failed to beat the Faroe Islands as Greece manager. And then he came back in, taking over from Nigel Pearson, obviously, and was a laughing stock. And pretty much everyone predicted, me included, Leicester to get relegated, and they won the fucking Premier League.
5,000 to 1 shots.
Yeah. I mean, goodness me. I also had Barcelona PSG in Champions League. Won 6-1 from 4 goals down. Liverpool, Barcelona from 4-0 down to draw 4-4 and go 3-0 down and won 4-3.
3-0 down, 1-4-3,
Yeah, because I mean, even in that first half, Barca should have scored a couple more. And that, again, begrudgingly, to me, as someone who doesn't like Liverpool, but that Alexander-Arnold corner when Trent was still coming through, really, and like he wasn't, certainly not the household name he is now, Origi tapping it, it was like, oh my goodness. I certainly wasn't celebrating, but you caught up in the moment of it. It was incredible. I think those are the biggest ones as well. One from my wife, which I didn't do any research on because it just made me long, was Nancy Kerrigan being attacked and then coming back to compete again. A bit similar to Monica Seller's other. Nancy Kerrigan got attacked or was set up by one of her competitors, Tonya Harding.
Yeah.
It's great. Have you seen the film? Margot Robbie plays Tonya Harding.
Tonya
Harding.
I haven't seen it, but familiar.
Really good.
Very good.
It's good. Biggest one for me, Miracle. So I was weighing whether to pick the Miracle of Medina because it's a great one, but I already had Tiger, so I didn't want to double golf it. But that's a fantastic one. I was sat at home watching that. It was just a brilliant comeback. And then only other kind of one I had a college football one, Michigan State, 38-3 down to beat Northwestern in 2006, win 41-38. Great comeback. And Indiana Pacers beating the New York Knicks in a playoff game in 1995 in the NBA. Reggie Miller scores 8 points in the last 9 seconds of the game to win it, which is pretty good. He hits a 3, intercept, it steals the ball on the inbounds, hits another 3, and then they get the ball back, goes to the 3-throw line for 2, wins the game with 9 seconds to go. It's an incredible one. So that was the only other one. So it's vote time. So we'll try it differently this time. So you'll notice, guys, on the panel on the right-hand side, there's a private chat. So do you want to just take a minute and then drop who you think is the winner? I'll run through the board for the benefits of everyone because obviously this is going to be an audio show as well. The benefits of the board won't be there. So I went first. I took Alex Smith coming back in the NFL from his horrific leg break. George Foreman, world heavyweight champion at 45. Tiger Woods coming back to win the 2019 Masters, going 11 years without winning a major. Colts v Bucks from Monday Night Football 2003. And Buffalo Bills v Houston Oilers 1993. Joe took Muhammad Ali after draft dodging. Patriots 28-3 in Super Bowl 51. Cleveland Cavaliers 3-1 down in the 2016 NBA Finals. Man United winning the Champions League final in 99. Monica Seles coming back after being stabbed and coming back and winning a major championship.
I know that's what happened, but...
I know, I'm trying to just summarise it and move on quickly. Dockers, you took Alex Zanardi, the motor racing driver, double amputee, comes back. Liverpool Champions League final 2005. Red Sox 2004 3-0 comeback against the Yankees. The 1981 Ashes and the Miracle on Ice. Byron Jordan coming out of retirement back to the NBA from baseball. Alex Ferguson turn around at United. Roger Federer 2017. Jimmy Glass and the St. Louis Blues. There are 20 greatest sporting comebacks. So I have the results. You've been voting away in the background. Our winner is, drum roll please, Byron is our winner. Comeback, yeah. Two votes. Joe and Dockers got other votes. How has nobody voted for me? This is ridiculous.
Colts Bucks.
My board is so strong.
3 NFL picks. Yeah.
Michael Jordan has 2 words. I have 2 words. Colts Bucks.
Colts Bucks, yeah, fair. Went wrong there, yeah.
Sunk yourself.
I did. Good stuff for Byron. Congratulations, worthy winner. Bravo.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Gents, I think it was a very close between Joe and Dockers, to be fair, to try and pick someone out of that because they both had such strong cases.
Yeah.
Alex Zanardi really pulls that emotional. That's something I'm going to look forward to reading more about because I'm not familiar with it, truthfully. I did a little read and listen to Dockers talking, but yeah, it's an incredible story.
Hopefully, yeah, from this, some people will go away and have a look at some of these things that if they haven't seen or heard of them, and they can go catch up on these. All of them fantastic stories. So, gentlemen, I was aiming for an hour and a quarter. We're now 1 hour, 47 minutes in. We really need to do some work on shortening these draft episodes. Appreciate your time, as always. This has been another episode of Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover, our all-time greatest sports comebacks draft. Follow on our YouTube channel at GTW_GTC. The same tags on Twitter and Instagram, and go and follow along on Spotify to be notified of new episode drops. Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover on Spotify. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. We'll catch you next time. Enjoy the rest of your evening.